Broken open by the new. You know, it has been a long, cold winter. When we finally made it through, I feel so much better. Changing weather. I know I'm not the only one. Waiting by the window, trying to feel the sun or something good. I'm not the only one who fought that battle like a window cat, waiting for the spring to come. What's this feeling that I'm feeling? Tell me. What's this look on my face? Is my senses come alive? I believe again that everything gonna be okay. Hope is rolling, I feel new. Colors that over I don't remember. Will we finally made it through? You know, it was such a long, cold broken open by the new. You know, it has been a long, cold winter. When we finally made it through, I feel so much better. Changing weather. What's this feeling that I'm feeling? Tell me. What's this look on my face? Is my senses come alive? I believe again that everything gonna be okay. I know I'm not the only one trying to feel the sun. I'm not the only one, like a window cat, waiting for the spring to come.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Wednesday night Paracrew podcast. I got my boy Lurker here. What up, my brother?
I'm doing good. How about you guys?
Oh, I'm here. I'm here. I'm still sore. As most of you may know, last Friday I actually had oral surgery. I've got stitches all up on top here. It hurts. So I apologize if I'm not smiling as much, but I'm sore. But I wanted to first talk about a couple of things before we bring our wonderful guest on. Um, Obviously, you know him. We love him, Charles. But before we bring him on, I just want to talk about a few things. Number one, you are not seeing things. We now are proudly sponsored by none other than Maglite. You heard me right. Maglite, the flashlight company, like the actual flashlight company, has graciously sponsored the Paracrew podcast, and we are completely honored and touched that they would allow us to represent them. And they they are amazing. I've used Maglites my entire career in the paranormal, and even in the military, I've used them. So it's really an honor. I want to touch on that. I also wanted to have another guest jump on. Um, she is actually one of the reasons why tonight's show is a little different. If you notice, there are no links in the description tonight. The reason for that is tonight we want to not just focus on mental health, but focus on a couple of different things, which we will be talking about with our brother Charles down there hanging out patiently in the background. And that's that incident we were discussing earlier on Friday, um, or on Saturday, actually. Um, for those of you who don't know, I did an update video on Saturday night. There was a family who lost 10 people in a fire on my birthday on August 5th. They were hosting a rally on Saturday, and Saturday evening, somebody unprovoked drove through that rally, ran over a lot of people. We had what's called mass casualty at the hospital. Um, there was at least 17 plus that were brought in to be an ambulance. Some came in on their own power to get checked out. It was absolutely a mess, and I'm still in shock that it even happened. And I agree, Joe. It is absolutely disgusting. The individual has been caught and apparently is not up for bail. And honestly, I saw one of the videos of him coming out of the courthouse, and he said hi, and he said, "I'm sorry, dude. No, no, that I'm sorry does not cut it on that one." Um, but as most of you know, there is a young lady who I work with. She's one of my employees. Her daughter was hurt in that incident. Her niece also was hurt very badly. Her niece was in critical condition, had a possible brain bleed, a bunch of different things happen. Um, but I wanted to let you know I've been in constant contact almost actually every day since with the young lady. Her name is Ruby. I've been in contact with Ruby. She has been keeping me updated on the situation, and I am proud to say that her daughter is home. Surgery went well. Everything's going great. She is home. She is healthy. She does have a couple of things she has to go through. Has to go through some physical therapy, which is to be expected, and also, which I can't even believe I'm saying this. Her niece, who is in such critical condition, is awake, is off the ventilator she was on. She is aware of everything, and she's been listed in fair condition. So I'm so excited for all that. And out of the 17 people who were there, I think she said like 4 are left in the hospital. So she wanted me to tell you guys thank you so much for your prayers and continuous support, and those who have donated for the GoFundMe. She really appreciates it. She loves you guys and thanks you guys for it. I wanted to bring her on tonight so she could tell you herself, but sadly, not sadly, she wants to be with her family, which is understandable. Which is understandable. So she wanted to be with her family tonight. They're just so happy to have the family back together. But I definitely was asked to pass that along. If anybody is still interested in helping out with the GoFundMe, you can find the link on my personal profile, Matt Barron on Facebook. Please, guys, please share it and donate if you can. If you can't, that's fine. Just please share it. It goes towards helping out with medical expenses and everything else. So, but anyway, she wanted me to let everybody know. Thank you again. So, thank you guys also for everything and all your support. We really appreciate it. So, Lurker, I've talked a lot. Let's bring up
Yeah,
our
it's okay.
wonderful. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. You just needed it. It was very important that everybody needed to know, and you know, she appreciates everybody's support and prayers and everybody, and that's really sad and really unfortunate that had to happen. But let's just try to push through it and just have a positive vibe tonight in this show tonight,
Absolutely.
at least.
Absolutely. And what more positive vibe to get going than the one and only Charles. Hey Charles, how you doing, brother?
Awesome. How are you all doing?
We're here. We
Doing
Good to
are
good.
here.
hear.
So Charles, I know we were scheduled for next week, so thank you so much for clearing some time for us tonight. But obviously, there's been a lot going on, not just in our little community, but in the world. And
Yes.
honestly, we all the para crew, we all agree that tonight needed to happen. We need Charles. We need some positive vibes, and you're one of the most positive people we know. And I want to again say thank you so much for sharing some time with us tonight.
Absolutely. Yeah. My show is on a summer break this week, so it kind of worked out perfect. I could
Mhm.
focus everything here with you all. And like you said, I'm seeing it with, hello, everybody. I'm seeing it with clients, friends, families, our own communities, myself, with the things that are happening in the world. And it's very much there are two sides to that coin that have to do with mental health
Mm-hmm.
and personal love as well as loving others. Because if I love and respect, if I think Charles is awesome and beautiful, then I also know that so is everybody else.
Yeah.
And I'm going to treat them in a certain way. If I feel that there's a lot of, that I am, and I loved your intro. One of the things the song said, you're not alone. One of the biggest problems with the people that perpetrate some of these hideous things is they do feel alone. They go down this path of being isolated and being alone and being in a place of self hate, which turns into hating everyone else, which turns into then coming from that point of view, you can do anything that the most of the rest of us wouldn't consider for a second. In the magic world that we live in together is that we have free choice. So we have free choice to love everyone around us and support them and hold them up and and champion their passions coming to life,
Mm-hmm.
or we can smash them. What a powerful choice that we have right in our own minds and bodies every moment that we exist. And for me, that's my passion, is to bring that awareness that you can bring relaxation, that you can bring peace, that you can bring inspiration. And that awareness truly, that's relax, let go, and be. The be part is awesomely be all of you, because you love yourself, because you love your family and your friends and your community, and you want to bring everything to life that you can, that just brings out passion for everybody.
100%. I agree 120%. Hey, Robin. Uh, so I want to kind of touch on something though first, Charles. And
Yeah.
I've said this before. I've said this many times on my show about the drama, and I think some people get it, but some people don't. And I would like you to kind of elaborate if you don't mind. One thing a lot of people complain about in this paranormal community is drama. People talking crap about each other, all that disgusting, negative, disgusting stuff, nasty stuff. So I've said before that if the drama is going to stop, it starts with you. You
Yes.
stop it, whether you're spreading it or not. Just even saying it to somebody else. Hey, did you hear what this person said? If somebody comes to you and approaches you and says that, your first response to me should be, have you talked to this person about these issues?
Right.
And that's what I mean. And you said it beautifully, that you need to think about yourself. So I was wondering if you could just elaborate on that just a little bit. Like when you say think of yourself, like yourself being beautiful, what do you mean by that?
Well, and that's a really good point there, because there's a big difference between judgment and discernment. I can discern that Matt and I have an issue and we need to talk about it, or something Matt said or did made me feel this way, and probably Matt didn't even intend it. It's 9/10 of the time, honestly.
Depends on who it is.
And then you see these, yes, and then you see you see these families or groups or workplaces or nonprofits where people get together, and when those whispers start behind the back, you're absolutely right. The first part, loving yourself and respecting yourself, it brings in that if my perceptions are correct, so is everyone else's. And we all know it's been proven scientific fact and life fact. If 10 people see something happen, there will be 10 different descriptions of what happened. And they'll all
100%.
be correct. Every
100%.
single one of them will be correct. It will be what they saw. If I describe my room as I see it right now, all of you who are seeing the room behind me would not see anything I'm seeing, but it would be there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And there's a real reality in life in that. So when we believe and we love each other, I love ourselves, then we have this love for each other. So then we know when there's something that's not quite right, when there's something that we discern is different in some way, that we need to discuss it, whether it's a hurt, and often that's where drama starts from, is some sort of hurt.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so and it can come from the spectrum. You know, it can be that you thought somebody made you feel a little less than, so you're going to make them feel a little less than too, rather than have that conversation, have that honest one-on-one to say, hey, here's something. And you said it exactly right. If something's going on, and I've dealt with families, friends, nonprofit organizations, businesses, if something's going wrong, it's usually because that discussion's not happening. Everything's happening around. And I often say to people, because they'll do that, you know, we all do it as friends. Hey, did you hear this about so-and-so? And you just said the right words. Have you talked to them about how you feel?
Mm-hmm.
And if it's a discussion where someone is saying, do you know that someone did this to me? What happened? What's going on? What's going on for that normally wonderful person that made them act out in this way? Are they okay? Is there something that you might have said and done that you never intended that could have caused something?
Mm-hmm.
Is that normal for them? And then there are those, and we saw it, you saw it with what your tragedy there. There are those that act out in intentional hate, in intentional racism or judgment, or, and then the community and those around us have to, what you're doing, rally around each other and support each other through this, and then do the best we can to see how can we reach out to people like this and capture them sooner. And I don't mean even capture them in an imprisonment way, capture them before they go down so far down into hate or judgment that they're so easily ready to do something. How can we reach out to them and somehow offer an alternative?
Yeah. Which honestly, I really see. This is why I like you. I like working with Charles. I like being on having Charles on, because you're setting me up perfectly, and I love it. So speaking of, looking for those signs, you mentioned about, looking at people and seeing if, things have changed, stuff like that. But what a lot of people miss is the inner changes. Like, I know self-awareness to me is, I mean, obviously mental health awareness and everything, it's obviously huge. It's very important. And we watch each other as friends and family to, identify any differences. But what kind of advice do you have for somebody to basically check themselves? Like, what kind of tips and tricks for somebody, like if they're having a depression, they're not sure why, they don't feel right, they feel off. What kind of tips do you have for them to identify these changes?
Well, good question. And we've all been through so much in the past few years, with isolation, with the work changes, with the kids home from everyone being forced in together. I've talked to so many of one of my friends and client, his entire family has moved home. Like he moved home, his brother and his wife moved home. And so, like there's like, he's like, we're all kids except for in our 40s and 50s and all this going on. And then the changes at work, the changes in our own, normally we would have our ways of, hey, I'll go gather with friends and do this, and that's going to put me in a different space. But now I don't do that. I've talked to so many friends that during this period of time, drug and alcohol use went up, because they a friend of mine, I said, you must be the 100th friend that said that to me. He's like, during the COVID, I used to go out and drink like once a week or a couple times a month. Then I was drinking every day. You know what I mean? Like, and because I was just so, trapped. And so part of it is listening to, we all, and I read something just recently that, if you talk to yourself, you're a really healthy person, it turns out, because you're like sorting through things. It's your way of, it's your way of having an inner dialogue go on, even if you're whatever. Sometimes it can be funny or silly. Sometimes it can be your way of working through anger or working through some issues. But one of the things I say to family and friends, when you hear, and we all have those personalities, those parts of ourselves, when you hear parts of yourself go negative, something's up. When, and I give you a couple examples. I had a friend that was saying, and he grew up in a really super uber Christian right-wing community, and he was LGBT, and it put a lot of pressure, and he's sinful. That he was like, Charles, I am older, I understand things, I have the love of my life, my family and friends support me, but the other day I'm opening the oven and a voice in my head says, hell's gonna feel hotter for you. Something's going on. There's a part of you that is, and as we talked it through, it turns out this person was having a lot of panic attack, a lot of things going on. And I said, do you still feel that way? Is there a part of you that still lives with the daily thought that I could burn in hell for this? And the answer was yes. Okay, we need to have a conversation with that part of yourself. And we did. We felt very blessed. We did a double session because I said, you're not getting out of here till we've done this together. And the tears, and he said, these aren't tears of sadness. These are tears of joy. Because for so long, the space has been taken up with self-hate, and it's gone. So listening to those thoughts, and they can be thoughts that you could be working on something you really love, and you hear something in the back of your head going, you're not good enough at this. Why are you even trying? You know what I mean? You could be thinking of the things that these are the improved, this is where I am in my life. This is where I want to be a month from now, 6 months from now, a year from now. And you start working on that, and a part of you comes in and says, you're not smart enough. You're not talented enough. You don't have this, or this. Why are you even bothering? You can't do this. So when you have that negative thought coming in your head, that is the first sign to go, whoa, something's not quite right. Something's, and the easiest way to begin that is with that self-conversation of literally that self-talk. Where's this coming from? What's this really about? And listening to the response. This is really about all these years people have told me this. All these years my dad told me that. I'm not throwing anybody under the bus. It's all about our perceptions. All these years I felt this way as a child, or these relationships that failed made me feel this way about myself. And this part of myself now continues to act that out. Anytime I feel a little scared, anytime I feel judged, anytime I feel uncertain, these voices come in and kind of tear me down instead of build me up.
So then what would your best advice be once somebody starts hearing those? Like, how would you counteract those?
Well, and a couple things to watch. If you start hearing that negative thoughts in yourself, if you start making up excuses of, like you know that you're going to meet with friends this Friday, and then Thursday night or Friday morning, you're like, you know what? I'm not going to go because I'm just too tired, or I'm just this, or I'm just that. So if you find yourself separating,
okay,
you find yourself, there's things you normally love. Someone really close to me recently was going through some things, and I said, have you played some fun video games? Because they love video games, and they're like, I haven't. Oh, so you're so upset with yourself that you won't even let yourself do the thing that you love the most? Warning sign, warning sign. Something's going critical inside. So now I should reach out to friends, family, spiritual leaders, mental health professionals, and just say, hey, here's what's happening for me. Because when you don't, then you get into things like the anxiety attacks, panic attacks, physical illness starts to hit. Years ago, I worked with a man who, in his late 30s, he literally had something happen, and his quote unquote, his words, his guts actually exploded. He almost died. They had to do all this stuff. He said, Charles, to this day, I know what happened. I spent 38 years of my life stuffing every single thing, never dealing with anything, and finally, my guts exploded. He said, "Do you think that's He said, "Do you think that's possible?" And I said, "You, as a person that experiences, are telling me that seems to be your experience. Yes, I've seen many people become very physically ill or really struggle with physical illness, and when you get down to it, they're really having a lot of stress. Stress and anxiety causes our body to go into strain and discomfort, and the longer our body is stressed, the more everything and I've learned that working with people, from your kidneys, your liver, your heart, your intestine, your stomach, everything gets stressed. Migraines, stress in your shoulders, all of it comes from stress and anxiety.
100%.
I agree.
And it is not just mental, but definitely, I agree, physical. That's why a lot of chiropractors and massage therapists, they have like the ambiance, they have the vapors going, they've got the music playing, it's relaxing. That's what they're doing. They're not just helping you physically, they're helping you mentally, and it's helping you not just relax your muscle tension, but also your mental stress as well. So Charles is absolutely right, and I will attest to that, because when I get stressed out and I get upset, like this weekend I've had, it's been a rough weekend for me. I started getting my migraines, my headaches. But what did I do? Monday, I was live. I was on a live show. Tuesday, live show. Tonight, and this is, for me, being somewhat of an extrovert, therapy for me. Being able to talk to everybody, seeing everybody, chatting with good family and friends, that for me is therapy. So I want to actually hit on that aspect, Charles, if we may. What about the introverted side? Because I know there's a lot of people who are introverts. They shut down. They don't. They're not able to reach out. They're capable, mentally not able to. What is your advice to them to help them get some assistance?
Well, and part of that can be finding the one person that you're closest to that you can talk to, because sometimes they will give you that push that you need. I've had more than one friend that will call me for a conversation, and then we start to talk a little bit, and I'll realize, oh, you're needing me to hear you and validate you and be the one that kind of, and I've had a friend said the other day, it's like, when you get around you, something about your energy just kind of pushed me. I knew that I needed to go do this, but I needed someone to give me a push. I needed someone to kind of help a little bit, to be there, to say yes. And it's okay, because that's the other thing that comes down to it. And I heard it from a longtime family member who called me out of the blue, and they're seeking some help, and they reached out to me, and they said, I've once gone to a therapist, but then we come to fear and judgment, right? What other people are going to think of us. Mm-hmm. And they literally shared that but I got, oh God, I don't want someone to see me going there. Well, you just had oral surgery. I've got some coming up. Are you going to be felt judged if you walk out of the dentist and someone's going to know I had oral surgery? If your knee needs surgery so you can walk, are you going to feel off because, someone's going to know I had? No, but somehow when it comes to our brain, our most amazing and least understood organ in our body, and something's wrong, we feel, and again, that feeling of being alone, when everybody goes through it. Every single one of us is a human being. We all have moments where we need to reach out. And I often have friends that will be like, the friends that know me personally know that I sometimes have 1 or 2 sessions and sometimes 3 sessions a week with other people I know, especially because when you're doing the work, it's easy to take on other people's things. Mm-hmm. It's either, so you want to keep yourself in that space. but there's no shame, and there comes the key word. There's no shame or judgment in saying I need some help. If you called up a
100%.
friend and said, "Oh my God, my eyesight's going. I can hardly see," but I don't want anyone to know I saw an optometrist. You know how that would be.
Mm-hmm.
Your friend. When we reduce it down to the ridiculous, which is what it is, it's another part. It's the most important part. And if something's happening with it, oh my gosh, it's not a shame that you're getting help. It says something about your strength, your self-love, your self-care, and that how you want to present in your relationships, that you want to be healthy. So this is a healthy, strong person. And so when those people do reach out to us, and if you are an introvert and you are someone that's hard, most of us have that one person that we can reach out to. And if that's the struggle, then the first step is to, okay, well, then I'm going to reach out and either, and not just mine, there's lots of meditation shows, there's lots of guided experiences. I'm feeling stressed. I'll go see if this helps me a little bit, and maybe it'll get me a little bit more calmer and a little bit more in connection with myself. And then I can find that strength to take the next steps.
Awesome.
Man, I'll tell you this, Charles. I was a big introvert until I got a hold of this guy right there.
Do I need to switch you around so you can point to me?
Right here. This guy.
Right.
Ever since I met this guy, me and him meshed very well because he's an extrovert. I'm an introvert. So he would try to push me to motivate myself to push myself further than I would already am. Even though I'm sort of kind of like trying to get there, it's like not enough. Matt's like, no. You need to go out there. So he would push me really hard enough to go out there. So I'm starting to be on camera more. I met Matt, Squeakers, Marcus, Irene, everybody in the P3 community has pushed me to this far. And I couldn't have done it without Matt, Squeakers, and everybody in the P3 for all the support they given me and all the love that I needed, because I wouldn't have got this far today if it wasn't for everybody and Matt and them. I wouldn't have my own show. We wouldn't be able to get the sponsor from yesterday. It was all because I had people supporting me, behind me, and pushing me to be out there. Yeah, granted, I'm still kind of an introvert, but I'm somewhat becoming an extrovert now because
You've come a long way, right? Yeah.
Yes.
And I saw two accomplishments here in our chat. I want to just highlight real quick. Dark Shadows. We can all read it right there. No words need to be said, but congratulations and great job. Very, very proud
Charles.
of you. Very, very proud of you. Absolutely proud. And I also want to shout out our boy Joe. Joe's been sober for 4 years. Congratulations. Guys. Very seriously, proud of you both. Very proud. It's very difficult to do stuff like that. So very nicely done. And, I want everyone to understand something else too. One reason why mental health for me personally is very important is Charles hit it right on the head. Going to therapy, seeking help is nothing to be ashamed of. And I can say that because I've done it. I used to have terrible anger problems. Imagine the complete 180 of how I am today. That's how I was. If somebody looked at me weird in Walmart, I was fighting them. I would grab a hold of them. And I'm not even joking. I would be very violent. And it's been a long road. I was never an extrovert like this. I was never out in camera. I was never a camera person. You couldn't get me on camera. I wanted nothing to do with cameras, and I actually had to go through therapy. It cost me a lot of friendships, jobs, and even a couple of relationships. But I actually said, okay, enough's enough. I got sick of myself. I got sick of not having relationships. I got sick of not being happy. And I just finally said, no, not screw everybody. Screw me. Screw who I am. And I went. And it's been a long road. And once you get going on it, it's like anything else. If you want a good habit to form, guys, be an extrovert. And what I mean is, it's practice. It takes practice. It takes time. But once you get used to something like that, it becomes second nature. Like the shows. No, don't watch any of my beginning shows. Don't ever watch any of my beginning
Mhm.
shows. But it's just like that. It takes practice. Or paranormal investigating. Excuse me. It's like paranormal investigating. We all can't just be, professionals as we first go out. It takes time, practice, research. Same way. And Charles is absolutely right too. You find that one person and then you build from there. And a prime example of that, I know Lurker, you speak very highly of our P3 family. I know Marcus does as well. I know a lot of people have. But just like this, Charles, excuse me, it's all out of love. But this asshole, this is this guy right here is that one person. This is Scott, Mr. Fedora, for those of you who don't know. Fedora, I was his first interview. He was my first interview. I met him. And through him, I met a bunch of other people. And it started growing from there. That's where it starts and it becomes habit. Now I can't stop networking. It's become habit. And look at what we've done so far.
Yep.
It will not stop. And what's up, Mark? Mark from Enlightened Souls. How you doing, brother? But you got to take care of yourself, folks. If you're an introvert, extrovert, I don't know what's the medium side of that. Mixed. What is that called? I don't even know. Is there a
Well,
technical term for that?
we all have a little bit of both, is the bottom line.
Okay.
And one thing I'd like to point out that I realized when you're talking, you just both gave the perfect example of why, for me, the mantra, we all have it in different ways, but the mantra, relax your mind and body, let go of fears and judgments, with great joy, be all of who you are. And being all of who you are is also being out there. So you talked about that you identified in yourself that, you know what, and I always say with great joy, be all of who you are. We should be enjoying every moment. Now, and I've had people say, well, wait a minute, what about the tragedy like you just went through? Is there, how are you joyful about that? Well, you're not joyful about the tragedy. You're joyful about the recoveries happening. You're joyful about the community coming together. You're joyful for the love and the energy that comes and supports these people at their time of greatest need. There's joy in that. You know what I mean? Even, and so, but when we do those things, look at what happened. Look at what changed for your life. With those individuals that just shared, they made very hard choices. They looked at themselves and they saw that a particular addiction, a particular something in their life was not serving their life, was not bringing them joy, was actually causing bad things to happen that they were not any longer enjoying. And so they made a decision to move forward and took that focus. And then I know if they could share it, how much that's changed and how much their relationships have changed and how many lives they've touched. You did the work and you changed. And then you came out. And then by that happening, Lurker reached out to you and said, you know what, there's something in me, but I'm feeling this. And you helped that. And then all these different people. And just look at and not everyone necessarily is going to want to be paranormal investigator or want to have their own podcast, but they will have the ways that they impact all the lives around them. And that's why this universal battle that's going on between love and hate, between self-respect and judgment is so important, because take away, you never made the changes. So Lurker never reached out.
Mm-hmm.
I never did the work that I needed to do in my 20s, where I was like, I had an ex-wife and a partner at the time that both confronted me in a loving way and said, hey, we've talked and we feel like there's a commonality here and there's something in you that you might want to take a look at. And I was an adult survivor of sexual abuse when I was a kid. And I thought, you know what, I'm aware, I don't need to deal with it. I feel okay. And boy, was it easy to go through in the beginnings. People always like, go to her a little, etc. Well, sometimes to revisit things, but then when you revisit them and heal them, the hurt's gone forever. It changes everything in the way that you are, and all the unintentional things that you become. Do you want to be defined by the hurts in your life? Or do you want to heal it and be defined by who you really are? And think if none of us had made that choice.
Agreed.
You know, think of those brave individuals that made the choice they did. And even they, you know, what if they never did? What would have happened to their life? What would happen to all the lives around them? That's why it's so important that we each do it and we find that way to reach out. And remember, and there's not being in judgment. If somebody's going through some hurt, if somebody also is a human being and bad things happen to them at some point, that's pretty strange. Or is it? And can we love them through it? You know, can we offer some compassion? You know, I
100%.
saw an amazing quote the other day, and don't know in the moment who said it, but it's, if you want to find joy for others, offer compassion. If you want to find joy for your life, live in compassion.
100%. 100%. And
that's why we do what we do, Charles. We created this program to encourage, support, love, and grow and influence. You know, so we can bring out the best of people. That's why we do what we do.
Yeah.
And we're gonna take a moment here, guys. We're gonna take a quick break. So don't go anywhere. We're gonna come back with Charles, and this time, Charles, when we come back from the break, we're gonna speak about not just inner, but our friends. We're going to speak about our inner circles and our friendships and our communities and how we can help them. So, guys, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back right after these short videos.
You know how we do. Big up to this crew. From day one till it's done, do or die, me and you. Big up to this crew. Yeah, we like to keep it positive. You know how we do. Big up to this crew. Got props non-stop and mad love for you. Rising up like the moon, elevating the mood, uplifting attitudes, cause that's what we choose to do. And I don't know about you, but there's enough negativity going around with plenty room to improve. Yeah, sometimes we collide with stress and negativity. We always let it slide. It's an elevated vibe, so fly. We touch the sky every time we ride. Big up to this crew. Yeah, we like to keep it positive. You know how we do. Big up to this crew. From day one till it's done, do or die, me and you. Big up to this crew. Yeah, we like to keep it positive. You know how we do. Big up to this crew. Got props non-stop and mad love for you. Now roll back time. Tell me what you find. You're gonna see the same sucker MCs on the sidelines. In the fourth quarter when it's do or die time. That's when this crew is inclined to go prime time. From day one straight till it's done. But you all know full well that we only just begun. Yeah. We stick together, one for all for one. When it gets heavy, no, we don't cut and run. Crazy thinking about the places that we've been. Now I could tell you stories that'll make your head spin. But like I said, straight, thick or thin, there's so many memories giving me silly grins. So please allow me to introduce to you my one and only homies. Yo, I love this crew. So please allow me to introduce to you my one and only homies. Yo, I love this crew. Big up to this crew. Yeah, we like to keep it positive. You know how we do. Big up to this crew. From day one till it's done.
Welcome back, everybody. Charles, what do you think of the song?
I like it.
I figured.
Yeah.
I figured.
It's been a lot of interesting music today. Yeah.
Yeah, and at first I was a little skeptical because Facebook has a creator studio, and a lot of us were getting flagged for different music and copyrights and this and that. And I heard that one, and I was like, I know what video to put that one on, but it's true, and that's why I love it on that one. Which honestly, I want to, before we get started on everybody else, yeah, Dark Shadows. I can understand that. I can understand, you know, having a little bit of a battle with that and struggling with that. Um, but bravo to you to overcoming that and getting back to at least a little bit of normalcy. Um, when it comes to stuff like that, me personally, my thought is think of the other person. If like me personally, I've told Mackenzie this, Wicked Consultant. She hates when I say it, but if I'm ever to that situation, charge your phone, call people. Don't worry about me. If I can't be me, nah. I'll be back. You can bet. I'm making a list.
Right.
And Lurker, you're on that list, so I'll be haunting you. Let's see. So Toka's recovery channel, it tackles drug. Awesome. If you want, you're more than welcome to share that out. Share that out. And Joe, I think we all do. Joe. Go ahead, Charles. You were going to say something.
Well, the struggles with guilt. Was that person referring to something particular? Because I didn't see all the text there, or just in general.
I don't believe so. I think
Okay.
it was just a blanket statement.
And that's because we usually guilt comes from guilt, and stress comes if we're feeling guilt, if we're feeling a lot of judgment about ourselves, about our lives, that usually comes from dwelling in the past. Because unless very few of us are guilty about what's going to happen tomorrow, unless we're truly diabolical. Like I'm going to do something really evil tomorrow. Like I need to. So that guilt comes from. We have to remember at any one point, like we've all shared tonight, we all went through different transitions and different times in our lives. We're all human. We all had moments when we weren't doing our best. At the same time, what you were honestly doing was your best for that moment.
Yep.
Maybe you were stressed out. Maybe you were frustrated. Maybe you did have a lot of judgment. Maybe you had a lot of negativity going on and you acted in a certain way. But what the guilt comes in and is that we can't go back and say, okay, I was making poor choices. I've worked with clients, and one of the most stark examples is I worked with somebody who had committed a murder. He was in his late teens. He went out with friends. He drank too much. Him and somebody got in a fight. He stabbed the guy. The guy died. Now he could have been. Now there's no way he could change that. There's no way he could change that. He could change his behavior. He did 10 years in prison. He came out. He ended up 20 years after that, one of the most celebrated and beloved youth pastors you'd ever want to meet. And he never hid from his story. He always said, I got so negative and I felt so down and I didn't care about myself at all. And I reacted in these ways and this horrible thing happened and I can't change it. But I can change how I'm going to live the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And you have to have a level, and in his case, because I happen to know the people, like he actually became really good friends with the family, because as he made his transition, he reached out and said how sorry he was and etc. They also honestly admitted that their friend had gone through some, like their son, brother, friend was also himself going through a lot of problems, and he started like not that he was innocent, not that he necessarily deserved to be killed, but that they acknowledged they both made a lot of poor choices that night, and one poor choice ended up with a life ending, and the other poor choice ended up with a life changed forever. But it could be changed forever, and that could have like a lot of negativity, and he could have been down on himself, and he could have become, and even says, I could have become a worse and worse person, or I could change myself for the future. And if I change myself for the future, and I know that in the past, and I'm seeing what's there, and in the past I did stuff that I wouldn't have, now that I'm aware, now that I'm changed, now that I've grown, I'd never do those things. But you have to have a true moment of forgiveness where you say, I forgive myself. You know, the Lord's Prayer, one of my favorite lines is, I forgive myself for any transgressions I may commit or have committed, and I forgive all those that may have done the same, because I don't want to live in that place of guilt. I don't want to live in that place of judgment. I want to live in a place free of that judgment, both for myself and everyone else. And the only way we can truly be free of it is if we do it both ways. Because I've had people say that, well, I can forgive everybody else, but I can't forgive myself. You're fooling yourself. You're fooling yourself. If you have a lot of judgment inside yourself, it's just brewing because it's become part of your perception. But when you forgive yourself and go, you know what? I did some silly things. I did some things that, had I known what I know now, you know, would 15-year-old Charles act like 45-year-old Charles or 57-year-old Charles? Maybe not. Probably not, right? You know, was my first relationship with my girlfriend the same as my current relationship with my partner? No, many things have changed through that time.
100%.
So it's okay to let yourself know, I made some choices I'm not very proud of, but I can also forgive myself because I also made the choice to be different now.
Yeah.
And for many people, it does mean sometimes part of the forgiveness process can be backing up and saying, hey, just owning, you know, I'm sorry that I did some stuff. I'm sorry that I wasn't reliable. I'm sorry that I acted out in certain ways. And I know I can never change that. But what I can change is me and how I'm going to interact with you in the future.
100%. And we're going to just switch something real quick. Lurker actually has to get going real fast because
See you guys later.
He's switching roles. He's going to be moving
All right.
from host
Yeah,
to guest.
I have to go, guys. I didn't realize I mixed up the time zones, so I got to go on to another show soon. So sorry about the inconvenience, guys. Take care. Much love, guys. Thank you, Charles, for coming on the show. It's good to see you.
Oh, there's
Bye, everybody.
Well, we wish Lurker luck as he goes on that show. Great show.
We've all had that happen.
Oh, yeah. No, it happens a lot. And Paranormal Swamp Talk, great show. Great show. Another great podcast. But one thing, Charles, moving forward is I want to hit on is exactly that, moving forward. A lot of people do hold on to their past. They use that against them. And one thing Brian Laverty says something, and he's absolutely right. Don't let yesterday take up today.
Right.
And I think of the same thing, only I think of, let's say, your past as an anchor. How big of an anchor do you want? Do you want a little one or do you want a huge one? Me personally, I'm kind of lazy. I want a little one. One I can just put in my pocket so I can move forward.
Yes.
And you have to be able to forgive yourself. I know a lot of people look for forgiveness through a bunch of different things: religion, family, friends, social media, whatever. But it starts with you. You have to be able to forgive yourself first. That was one thing that I learned. That was one of the first things I learned when I was in anger management. Is I can't, just like you can't take care of somebody else if you don't take care of yourself first. The same way, you can't forgive anybody or expect anybody to forgive you unless you forgive yourself first. And, you know, with my anger stuff, it's the same way. I had to recognize, I had to apologize to myself for putting myself through that. And it was tough. I'm not going to lie, guys. It's very tough. But you have to be able to do that, and you have to be able to move forward, especially if you want to make that change. It's going to take work. It's not easy, but it is worth it.
Yes. And like you said, rather than today be a recycling of the past, what about it being a creation for the future? And that's why we often say, if you're living in fear and judgment and hurt, you're living in the past. If you're living in stress and anxiety, You're living in the future that hasn't even happened yet, but you're stressed out about it. But where you need to be is in the present.
Yep.
with a calmness and with a connection to mind, body, spirit, so that then you're co-creating exactly what you want in the future. And the things we struggled with the past, and I often had people. I had one time someone who worked for me who I knew was convicted of murder, and I had my boss come to me and say, "Wait, did you know this guy committed murder?" And I was like, "Yep." And he was like, "But you hired him here at the store." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, his murder was, that's in his case, like 8 years ago, etc." I said, he's been out for 2 years. This happened. And I said, and by the way, he murdered, this person is from Haitian, and he murdered the person he was in a detainment camp, and he saw the person that had killed his mother, his sister, his brother, and a cousin, and he killed them. It had some, this is not someone who just went out and shot somebody. I said, now, and he still feels bad about it. And the person just looked at me and he was like, "You found all that out?" And I'm like, "Well, yes, but also, I've worked with people. I've worked in businesses that specifically hired people that had gone through, like, again, forgiveness. If somebody went through a struggle and they did something, but then they have healed from that and changed, and they want to do good things, then instead of looking at them with judgment, you look at them and say, wow, this person went through this struggle. They were really angry. They were really, they went through really bad drinking issues and things happened. But now they've changed that and they want to still give beautiful things to the world. So
100%.
rather than judging them and saying, well, they're awful because this happened, what happened? Do you know? When you find out, you might feel differently. Like even that manager, he even said to me, he goes, "Gosh, if somebody killed all those people in my family, I'd probably kill them too." Exactly. I mean, I'm not advocating murder because there's other
No.
But the thing is, but if you just hear, if you're just sitting across the table and just what you talked about, and we're gossiping and we're saying, "Did you know so and so committed murder? Oh my gosh, what do you think of that?" That's how do you, or do you say, "Hey, did you hear that so and so in the past went through some real struggle, but here they are now?" You know what I mean? Like, there's two ways of approaching that. Someone went through, and again, one thing about ending the drama is that if I have something I need to share with you, I need to discuss it with you, because if it's not up to me to tell anybody else's story. Like, I share some of the experiences that I have with clients, but I also ask the permission, and I never connect it to them in any way. So that's a difference. But if I know that Matt used to have anger issues, it's not up for me to tell everybody else about Matt's former anger issues. That's up to Matt. Mm-hmm. So that's another reason another way to shut down drama. When someone comes and says, "Do you know this happened? Do you know this person used to do? Do you know that person one time had a DUI," or whatever it is? Mm-hmm. It can be like, no. And unfortunately, that wasn't yours to share. And secondly, if you really have an issue with that person, then can I facilitate a conversation between the two of you? Can I make something good? Because I'm not going to whisper this down the line. Let's end this right here, Yep. But that's where the judgment comes in. When we hear anything about somebody, we jump to these conclusions that are, compared to TV, if and any word you use could come out very differently.
Perspective.
Yep.
100%. And, we talked about it earlier. There's three sides, in my opinion. There's three sides to every story. There's his side, their side, and then the truth. There's always the three sides. There's a little bit of truth in everything, but when you put them all together, then you'll get the absolute truth. And it goes back, like you said, into perspective, finding out what is going on, finding out the truth. And, there's some people that are out there, they'll see somebody or they'll hear something like these shows. I may say something that somebody may not like. Next thing you know, the whole paranormal community knows about it. They talk about it. They talk crap about it. Okay, well, here's what I actually meant.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
it's easy to be misunderstood because everyone comes from their own perception. I'll give a perfect example, and I've been the one that I've done this more than once. where I've responded to somebody, like we're texting back and forth, right? Or
Mhm.
I'm texting to check in about something, and da 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 da. Is everything okay? Yes, it's okay. Yes, it's okay. What does yes, it's okay mean? Is it really okay? They didn't say it's
Mhm.
awesome. They didn't say it's good. Are they upset about something? What do you mean
Mhm.
okay? And more than once I've typed back, what do you mean okay? And then sometimes I've gotten okay, like everything's fine. Oh, good. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I've been wrong every time, but it's a perfect example of just how quickly a word, because based on perception, can be, wait a minute, what does that mean? What is it? And then,
Mhm.
and if you don't immediately have that conversation, something starts to build. And I've been involved so often in mediation between relationships, families, people that work together. And when things come out, there will sometimes, when you get mad enough and the things go negative instead of positive, you can get to the point of revenge.
Yeah.
I one time worked with some people that worked in a nonprofit together that both admitted that they were revenging on each other now because he did that and I did this and they did that and I did that and I did that. And then we get back to the beginning, we actually start having a conversation, and it turns out again, perception. When you actually talked it through, well, when you said this and did that, I felt this way. Didn't intend it.
Mhm.
Later on, when I was doing revenge stuff to you, I absolutely intended for you to feel the same way I felt. But when I said this or did that or this happened, no. But so almost, not quite, but almost 100% of the time, what happens is misunderstandings lead to bigger and bigger problems and drama because there's not just that quick conversation. And part of that comes down to the confidence, the
Yep.
love of self. If I love myself and I'm confident and I know that Matt's a good person, but I felt this way, then I'm confident enough to go, hey, Matt, when you said this, I kind of felt that way.
Yeah.
And then the 99% of the time, hear you say, oh, wow, I didn't mean to make you feel that way. I'm sorry. I did that with a partner one time. I kept saying something and they're like, and they went like this one time. They're like, just stop. And I'm like, what? What was I doing? They're like, every time you say that, you remind me of my father who always did this to me. And he always said that phrase. And I said, oh, I didn't mean it in that way. I was just saying this. I was kind of being silly. And they're like,
Mhm.
yeah, but he did. And I heard it so much that every time you said it, it just grates me and hurts me. And I'm like, my gosh, you should have said that 3 minutes. Like, please,
Yeah.
please
Hind's
always say those things to me. I don't.
Hindsight's always 20/20.
Right.
Um, Squeakers is actually in the audience tonight. She has a question for you there, Charles. What if something happened that made that other person think it needed to be brought up? Is that drama? Honestly, in my opinion, any type of communication is worth it.
Yes.
Now, you just like what we were just saying with perspective. If there's no communication, then that's going to still cause drama. You won't get that answer. There's always
Right.
going to be those what ifs. The problem is I see a lot is there's no constructive mindset to receive that information. Like Charles said, that if I say something that he throws him off, excuse me, he can be confident enough to come to me to address that. I know Charles enough that whenever he comes after, he says something to me, it's not him attacking me. He really wants to know. He wants to find out how I meant something, how it works, whatever. And I am open to that constructiveness. Which actually, Charles, I wanted to ask you, how do you prepare yourself? What advice do you give to everybody to prepare yourself to receive that constructiveness? Like how can you get into that mindset?
Well, and you bring up a good point. It does take two.
Hmm.
Okay. It always takes two. There are situations where somebody else, for a variety of reasons, they're just not there. They just won't hear it. They just won't understand it. But even then, I try to take some time for perception to think about. So basically, it's this, and you just said, she just Sarah Squeakers to a point too, is that drama is in the communication. So, for instance, when that person said okay, and I wasn't sure what okay meant, I could have immediately responded and said, okay, just okay. Well, you know what? Here's what I think about you. I'm okay too. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And yeah, and immediately something has grown. from that. You know what I mean? So part of being in that place is if we're all human and we're all experiencing it from our own perceptions. Part of being in that place is, and we talk, you hear it all the time in like counseling, we've seen in movies and things, like having the I statements. I statements are important. And then you come in and you get yourself ready and you get yourself in a mindset, because if I facilitated one recently between two friends that were having issues, and I said, okay, let's start with this level of communication between each other, and then one said, well, what do I need to do? And I said, you need to be prepared to state your truth, and then you need to be ready to listen with compassion to what they have to say, not with judgment, not with a predetermined, well, I know that person's blah, 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 blah anyway, but with compassion, because you're going to share. And one person I've worked with a lot on my show, Dr. Raquel Stewart, she's amazing. Just got back from setting up a psychology college in China. And one of the things she said about is that people need to be vulnerable and allow vulnerability.
Yes.
I'm vulnerable when I come to you with something, and I respect you, and you're my peer, or you're my friend, or you're my brother, my father, my partner, and I'm wanting to share. But then I also have to create that vulnerability, right? I have to accept that vulnerability and let you be vulnerable. And if I'm in drama or anger or judgment, then I'm not going to hear it. So I've also told people, if you're really this upset, I talked to a friend one time, this recent coming together of a couple of friends, for a few months, the one friend was like, I'm not ready. I'm too angry. Okay. And she's like, they were like, is that okay? And I'm like, absolutely. I mean, that's yours to deal with. But if you're too angry, then this is not a good time, because you have to be past that anger enough that you can be a compassionate listener to and hear what the other person has to say. If you're too angry for that, then you're right, it's not going to go well. So being in that place where you make the I statements, and the I statements are literally, I feel this way. And now it can be, just like my one person I shared, I feel this way when you say this, because it's connected to this.
Yeah.
Oh, well, my goodness, I'm just having fun, and I met no, badness. So that goes well. But if I say, every time you say this, blah, 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 I've just created an energy, right? So part of that being is creating your vulnerability and so saying, I feel this way when this happens. That allows the other person to say either, wow, I had no idea, thanks for sharing. And if they didn't share, often with me, with friends, I'll say, well, if you feel able to, why do you, is it because is there something more to the story? 99% of the time there is, but but if I approach it that way, then it allows me to hear that and go, wow, that is not what I intended at all. I feel very bad about it. I will not use that phraseology again, or I will, I'll check my, I'll use my humor in a different way that doesn't push bad buttons for you, because that's not who I want to be in any way. But if, and then, so you allow those I statements to go back and forth, like I feel, like a good, a funny one I always use, and I've honestly heard it from more than one person, gay, straight, lesbian couples, where somebody won't pick up their socks, and they'll hear, when you don't pick up your socks on the floor and I have to pick them up, I feel like you're making me a maid. And the other person's like, I've just taken my socks off. Like, I did not mean my socks to make any attention into your life.
I've had those conversations with the Wiki consultant many times. But you're absolutely right. It is perspective, and it is being open to constructive criticism and being open. If you really respect the other person that much, be open. Their opinion should matter, and it should go both ways. And here's the thing: whether it's a good relationship, whether it's a partnership, relationship, whatever, friendship, if you respect that person, it is a back and forth thing. It's a team effort, no matter how big the team is. For example, P3, great group, great family that we have. If we don't connect and we don't communicate constructively, it'll never work. Just like the Paracrew podcast, Squeakers, Lurker, and my wife and I. If we don't communicate on things, it'd never work. It's all a team effort, and you have to, if you want the positivity, if you want to break free of that negative, toxic. What it is toxic. Negativity is completely toxic. If you want to break free of that, it all starts with you. And you need to allow yourself to be the same way with yourself, like we talked about earlier in the show. It starts with you. And I just want everybody to know, and I feel like Charles will back me up on this. I want everyone here listening to know, if you didn't hear a thing we said all night, know you are not alone. You have people to go to. You have people who will listen, and judgment-free environment. Nobody is going to judge you. Sometimes it's what you need. Sometimes you just need to get out there and vent. I vented live on here. I'm tired of the drama. I'm tired of it. I went and vented. We are all here for you. Whether it's the Paracrew podcast, P3, Parapost, anywhere. With Charles, anybody. We are all here for you. And all you have to do is take that first step and apologize and accept your apology to yourself first, and make that initial step to reach out. I've been a manager a lot in my career, whatever job I was in. And the one thing I tell each and every one of my crew is I cannot solve a problem that I don't know.
Yeah.
If I don't know that there's an issue, like let's say hypothetically Squeakers is having a rough day. If she doesn't say anything, I don't know how I can help her, nor do I know anything's going on. It's the same way with my wife, with Mackenzie. If she doesn't show me, whether it's verbally or physically, that something is wrong, I can't help that situation. Guys, you are worth it. Everybody here is worth it. The only excuse that you should have that you shouldn't talk to anybody is you've tried. And I can guarantee you, if you've tried everybody and you still didn't you didn't try everybody, because you didn't try me. You didn't try Charles. I know Charles would be there for you at any time.
And there's always people that would be, and in all the different circumstances. Like what I mean by that is whether it's family, friends, nonprofit, business, 99% of the time. And when I say that 99%, there's that 1%. I've occasionally dealt with somebody that was, and again, I didn't judge, but I could discern they were going through so much hurt, so much pain, that they were literally saying, yes, I'm doing this to this person, and I'm going to continue to do it because this is who I am. And then, of course, then the response is to the other person, okay, get yourself somewhere safe. Mm-hmm. This person's not going to, or we have someone where we try to sit down and they say, no, Matt, blah, 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 blah. You can, and I've had people, so what do you do then? What do you do if you try to reach out and you're treated this way? Then you make one final statement for your I statement. Well, I feel very sorry that we can't have that conversation. I'm sorry for anything I did that may have hurt you in such a way. And I'm sorry for the hurt that you may have suffered that's causing you to react this way to something I did. It wasn't intended. Have a wonderful day. And I've said, and I've had a lot of people that will call me to coach a conversation. Recently I had someone who they've rented from someone, and the rental agreement, the people are deciding to move, but they have these complaints. And she's like, I just want to tell her, when I call her up to tell her to move, and I just want to say, this has been bad, that's been bad, that's been bad, that's been bad, blah, blah, blah. But I wanted to call you first because I know that won't have any good endings. I said, it wouldn't. Mm-mm. I said, what would be good is to get yourself calmed down. And on the day that you hand the keys back, say to them, here's what I've really enjoyed about being here. And here are some things I'd like to share, because here's how I experienced it. And I know that you, on one hand, have been a great landlord and friend. On the other hand, these things have given me this perception and actually made me really angry. And I had to deal with that. And I also wanted to have this conversation so that in the future, you, who I know is a good person, won't treat somebody else the same way.
Yep.
And I mean, and they were like, they were like, slow down, I'm writing this, you know what I mean? Like we worked out
Mhm.
the I've left out some details there, but it's like, and then they were like, this is going to go over so much better. And I really did want to keep this person as a friend. And I'm like, yeah. And had you started off with, you are the worst, blah, 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 and I'm going to throw my key in your face, friendship would not have ensued.
Uh-uh.
Friendship would have been over.
And you know what's funny is with my management training, we call that build up, breakdown, build up. It's basically the manager sandwich. You
Yeah.
build them up, you break down the issue, and then you build them right back up because you're still putting them up. It's still ending on a positive. Always end on the positives, guys.
Yeah.
No matter what. And, no matter what you're going through, like, let's just say my mouth. This is completely, it's real, but I have stitches. I'll show everybody, but not pretty. But I have been dealing with a lot of pain this weekend, ever since Friday, between swelling. I was supposed to be off work all weekend. I've been at work all weekend, dealing with a lot. I've worked probably close to 40 hours since Saturday. I am tired, to say the least. I have not been able to actually rest, which is what I'm ordered by the doctor. I could do one or two things. I could either complain and call off work and probably lose my job. But that's not going to accomplish anything. It's not. It'll give me my rest, but I lose my job, I lose my income, and then I let down my family. But what I can do is I can just grit and bear it, go through it. Pain like this, just like with a lot of the drama and a lot of these issues, it's temporary. In 8 months down the road, I will not be feeling pain, hopefully, but I will be all healed. And yesterday's drama, yesterday's issues are not going to be 8 months issues. Will I have more issues? Probably, because that's called life. But one of the biggest things, and I want to put this on a shirt, stress about the things you can change.
Nice.
Don't stress about the things you can't. One of the biggest examples of that, and we all know it, is money. Can I go to the ATM right now, pay off every one of my bills for the rest of my life? No. Otherwise, you guys would be seeing more of me online.
Right.
I'd be doing this. What can I do? Exactly what I'm doing. I go to work, I do my job, do it to the best of my abilities, I take care of my issues, I pay my bills. It's just like that. When you have a problem, please look at it and go, what can I do about this now? And if the answer is nothing, put it in the back burner, because eventually that solution will come up. Then it's like, think of like a card game, Uno,
Right.
or whatever. You just wait for that right hand, and once you have it, boom, you play it. You play your card when it's ready.
Well, and you hit on a couple really big things that I think are important. And honestly, your mouth is a great example, and something I've seen a close friend of mine's family go through too. So, like, same thing with me. I've got some things, and I'm going through. I'm debating between implants and dentures and different things. I had some wisdom teeth that caused some damage, and the thing is, you were going through some things. You could not deal with it, and then eventually you could either die through your blood being poisoned through bad teeth, or like you could say, screw it, I'm not going to deal with this. I'm going to just live in pain. But you could also go through some pain and some change that then provides you you're over it, you're better, and now you're more confident because your smile's been fixed, or what was happening. And like I've been reaching out to a few friends who have recently or past few years have gotten implants and said, how was this process for you? How was this process for you? And it's the same. It's interesting to me because it's the same I hear about spiritual or mental issues. It's like once you're healed, they're like, one lady shared the best. She was like, Charles, I was in pain for 3 years before I finally got it all done. And in the next couple weeks, I had some pain, but it was a different pain. It was you're never going to have this pain again pain. as opposed to you're
I
living
hope.
with this thing. You know what I mean?
I hope I never deal with this crap again.
Right. And the thing is, you had to make the move to deal with it, or
Yes.
you could have just gone in continual pain. And I share it, at the time I saw it, it was more gender based, but I also see it in all genders. But I was in Vegas a few years ago, and there were some billboards. There was a series, I think, of 3 in a row, and one said, "What kills more fathers, uncles, brothers?" And the next one said, "Grandfather, sons, etc." The last one said, "Procrastination, go to the doctor." Literally said that. And I realized how many people I know that have gone through things. And I want to share, and this isn't, again, once it happens, it happens. But I've heard this one too often. I have a very close friend of mine. I've known her and her family for over 30 years. I went and helped her parents last weekend do some works. She recently lost her brother. They lost their son. He's a husband to his wife who'd been struggling with cancer. One of his children is on the kidney transplant list. I mean, it doesn't get crazier, but he said he was not feeling good. And he was going through some things that he realized he really wasn't feeling good. But, he said, what, I can't take the time off. I don't want to go to the doctor. I don't want to, I've got too much going on. I'm too responsible. I've got to take care of these other responsibilities. I'm just going to ignore what's happening. Then he went down to rest, and his wife came down later, and he had passed. They fought, and they had no idea why. He didn't have any chronic illness or anything like that. This man, by the autopsy, died of pneumonia at 43 years old, because he refused to stop and have somebody take a look at what was going on. A very preventable death.
Yes.
And talking to the friend that knows her, she's like, "Charles, this you're going to really need to be in a space here, because it's almost as though like he committed suicide, but we know he didn't. But in the same time, this is really awful for everybody to realize it wasn't a sudden massive heart attack. It wasn't a stroke. It wasn't an aneurysm. It was something that he had. And then friends and family, before the autopsy even came back, said, yeah, he's been like steadily sick for about 6-7 weeks and just wouldn't take the time to go to the doctor. And that's what we're talking about here.
Yep.
Whether it's your mind or your body. And like his case, he was making this decision. Well, I can't take the time to go to the doctor because of this. Well, guess what? Your worry about going to the doctor is, well, the end result's far worse. We would have rather you went to the doctor. We'd rather, like the one friend, his dad was saying, and his family stepped up and helped pay some mortgage and do something. They would have done that. So it's like, that's why reaching out. It's a perfect example of why do we reach out for help. If your mind or your body or your spirit, your heart is hurting, you can continue to live in that pain, or you can heal it and move forward and let that pain go. And it's crazy it is, it's just that simple.
Yeah.
We have free choice.
And it is so worthwhile, and it is so rejuvenating once you actually open up. Like I've said this numerous times, this show is like therapy for me. If I'm having a bad day, it's nice to actually come on here, talk to everybody, see the amazing audience we have, talk to my amazing co-host, and just let it out. I feel so much better. Or in certain cases, we come on and we celebrate. Like one of our brothers, Brian James, he just had a baby. We celebrated that. It's just being able to step out of that comfort zone with yourself. And if you guys really want things to change in yourself, start with yourself. Nothing's going to change until you make it change. You are that first step. But Charles, we've been almost on for an hour and a half, brother. And wow. I think we could go. We could probably go like 3.
I do want to share this with you, and I think it's important, and that's why I direct people to your program as well. Is you give a place for people to come and share their paranormal experiences, to develop their talents with dealing and understanding the paranormal. We're mind, body, spirit, right? So 1/3 of that spirit. So by creating this platform in this way for people to share, and also to be in a place, and that's why I think all of these types, every group is important that supports a different community, because you're giving a community where I can come to free of fear and judgment and share an experience I had that, should I share it with certain people in my family, they might judge that in an entirely different way, or they might say I'm great. I've talked a lot before about one of when clients come to me, one of the things I hear is, I feel judged because I've encountered paranormal. I've experienced this. When I share it with my friends and family, they laugh at me. They tell me I'm strange or crazy, or what drug was I on, or whatever it might be. And so when we talk about how fear and judgment hurts everyone, it goes well across the border. I mean, there's obvious ones, right? Racism, genderism, sexism, but judgment touches every single person.
Oh yeah.
And the wonderfulness of it, and I think one of the major experiences you bring to people and I bring to people is that, but we have a choice.
Yes.
We can create a community in a space where we rejoice with each other and celebrate with each other and share our findings and our perceptions that help grow us all. And then we hold each other up, and then somebody 5-10 years from now, and it might not even be somebody you know, or somebody that you personally touch, but somebody that was touched by you, and then they're now out doing this, which changes the world because someone in their life heard Paranormal Partnership.
Yep.
Participated in P3, came to your groups,
Which is why we say, for everyone, please share these out, because you never know who might need it, whether it's a laugh, whether it's a shoulder to cry on, whether it's something to celebrate, or whether it's just some advice.
Right?
You
or
never
something
know.
That makes you think,
Yeah, you never know. And honestly, the paranormal guys, with us doing these investigations and stuff, it's not just a spiritual connection. It's also mentally. It's everything. The paranormal field, when we go on and investigate, it's physically demanding, it's mentally demanding, and it all ties in. I personally am not going to go to an investigation depressed, because that's going to affect the investigation. We've all said this before. Our attitudes affect the investigation. So it all starts with you. If you want to be a good investigator, get yourself in a good mental state of mind. And again, all starts with you. So I just wanted everyone to know that even though this past, we'll just say 2 weeks have been very stressful for a lot of people, 2 things. Number one, you're not alone. You're definitely not alone. That's the most important thing I want everyone to hear. And the other thing is, it's not permanent. It will end. The trials, it may not be completely done. Your life may not be, like Margaritaville, where you're like Jimmy Buffett chilling, but it will get easier, because you will find resources and people and techniques and tricks and different things to help you cope with it and to organize it and to take care of it. You will find a way to get through it. And you, again, are not alone, but you have to take that first step.
Yes. And one of the things, and it's funny, but I used to share it with my daughter and nieces and nephews and clients over the years, because we all have those moments when we feel alone. We feel like we're the only one. We feel, there's songs about it, movies about it, and books written about it. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing, anytime you feel alone, as an avatar, and I call the avatar the mind and body, right? Mm-hmm. As an avatar, there are nearly 8 billion of us. You're not alone. As a soul, as a consciousness, there are billions of zillions because we can't even comprehend. Mm-hmm. So in either case, you're absolutely never alone. The only thing that can truly make you feel alone, make you feel isolated, make you feel abandoned by everyone else, yourself. And you're convincing yourself of an unreality. Mm-hmm. Convincing yourself of something that's entirely not real. But that's how powerful our minds are. And I know we want, before we go to, and next,
Yeah.
I would definitely want to share that one of the things, because you ask, what can you do if you are feeling some stress and and that can be stress because you're about to go live on the show. That can be stress because you're about to go get ready to go on a paranormal investigation. It could be stress because you're going to have that conversation with somebody and it's going to be a little bit harder, or you're going to have that conversation for someone and you're going to propose marriage, or you're going to go ask for a raise at work, and it's what I did even before coming on tonight, is that, and I'll do it throughout the day, and it is called the deep breath. And you literally take a moment, and whatever stressing you out, whatever happening in this moment, you literally, for yourself, breathe in and then breathe out. So for me, like even getting ready for tonight, and I've done lots of things, and and it's like, but whether I'm coming here to do this, or I'm doing a mass wedding at Pride, or I'm performing a celebration of life for a family, there's always those moments right before you do it that you're just like, okay, I got to pull it together. I've got to let go of anything happening out here and come into this space. And so what you do is, and for me, I'll think, I'm breathing in inspiration. I'm breathing out judgment. I'm breathing in relaxation. I'm breathing out frustration. I'm breathing in prosperity. I'm breathing out stress and anxiety. You know what I mean? So you literally allow yourself, and it is important, I want to really point this out, because I've had a couple people that, yes, when you take those 10 deep breaths, especially if you're not a meditator, if you're not a deep breather, it can cause you to get a little dizzy. So be sitting down.
Yes.
Be sitting down when you do this. And then you breathe it in. And I use my hands like this. I'll put them together and I'll push on one finger, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And do that breathing in and that breathing out. And I've seen it and proven it and watched it in sessions and in retreats and groups with people. And people will say, oh my goodness, I already feel differently. Well, it's mental, physical, and spiritual what you just went through. You mentally took a moment and reprogrammed yourself and let go of the stress. You physically breathed in oxygen, which is when you're not breathing, you're not alive. next to water, it's breath, water, food. These are things that you need as a human. So, and we know when you get anxious, you're like this. Oh God, stress. Oh no, oh no. And what's happening to your body right now is you're stressing it out, because every time you do that, all the systems in your body are going, we're not getting enough we're not getting enough oxygen. We're going to stress. We're going to strain. We're going to pull in. And so now, are you less stressed out? Or, but when you take and breathe it in, you're actually physically giving your body what it needs, not on a daily basis, on a second by second basis to survive. And we know that your heart rate slows, all of your body begins to relax because the oxygen comes in and makes it feel very calm. And then at the same time, you're telling your mind that I'm being calm and I'm letting go whatever's bothering me. I'm letting it out. It's going out here. And then spiritually, if you will, you're allowing, because now you've cleared all that mental blockage. You're now right in the flow of your inspiration, right in the flow of your power and strength.
100%. And when you do that, folks, here's the thing. When you are stressed out, you want to make decisions. You want that situation to be resolved. You can make it a lot easier when you do that breathing exercise, when you do that technique. And I know that because I do it. Not exactly like what Charles does.
Yeah,
but
you're adapting.
Exactly. I take that step back. I remove myself from the environment, from the situation, and I just sit here. I mean, there's been times before a show, if I'm mad, I will just sit here and just think to myself, okay, what do I do? And I do go through my steps, and I have a process. Or I do it anytime I make a hard decision. You make the best decisions when you're relaxed and when you're calm and collected. You can't go in and just go all rampant. So, right. Charles, I really, really appreciate you, brother, coming on. Thank you so much. We are so.
I went the wrong way. Thank you.
Yeah, you get used to it. Brian Laverty always messes with me about that. He's like, "What are you looking at?" I'm like, "Look at my guest. I'm looking over it." No. I don't know. Apparently, it looks better. I don't know, but
Yeah, no, I get it, and I'm learning from you because, as you know, my show is a radio program, a
Mhm.
blog talk radio program. So it's all audio because there's a lot of guided meditation, and so, but it's 2022, and I have a lot of friends that are like, it's time to get the video going. And again, touching and connecting. I connected with Squeakers years ago, and I think, and we both kind of learned and worked together on different things. And then when she introduced you, I thought, wow, isn't this perfect? I'm learning from fellow mind, body, spirit people that are in the paranormal, the next step for me. So it's, we're all learning, and you're teaching me just by being on these shows with you. So I'm honored, and thank you for welcoming me back from time to time.
Hey, you're always welcome, brother. Always welcome. I have nothing but the utmost respect and love for you. If you guys haven't already, go check out Charles. Relax and let go with Charles. He's on Facebook. He's all over the place. You can definitely find him anywhere. And
Yeah.
to my understanding, this is going to be a monthly thing. We're going to be having Charles on as our guest to come on and just kind of hang out and relax and let go. And I am super excited. And like I said, Charles, thank you so much for changing your schedule around for
Yes,
us.
yes.
It's definitely needed, and you personally helped me out tonight. I hope you guys at home got a little bit of help and a little bit better understanding and mindset for this week to come. So, Charles, again, thank you, brother. If you'd like, you're welcome to hang out backstage until I close out. If not, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much. And it's Relax, Let Go, Be with Charles. You Google it; it'll take you to the shows, and it's on Apple Pie, all the things, and it's free. It's a way. It's listener supported, but it's basically free way for people to have guided meditations in a lot of different ways. And we too have had guests like yourself. Thank you. I will come back anytime, and blessed to be with you. Thank you.
Well, have a great night, brother. Guys, what an amazing show. And again, I want to thank Charles for coming on. I know a little bit different. We were supposed to have First Line Paranormal, but had to change some things up because honestly, it was needed. Seen a lot in our personal lives, seen a lot in the paranormal. It was time. We needed to bring Charles on. And I personally feel refreshed, energized, ready to go to tackle my next big challenge, which, believe me, it's a challenge. But before we get out of here, I want to say thank you again to all of you for joining us tonight. I want to thank our new sponsor, Maglite. We are going to be doing some amazing things with Maglite. We're going to be working together. We are going to be doing giveaways. We are going to be doing a bunch of different things with Maglite. And again, if you guys don't know what Maglite is, what are you using? Because I've used Maglite for a long time. Great products, bright as hell, and reliable. So go check them out. We are going to be doing, like I said, some giveaways. So stay tuned for that. We will be announcing the giveaway next week on the Wednesday Paracrew podcast. We will be announcing the giveaway. So get ready. And I also want to thank none other than our boy, Brian John Laverty. You're over there somewhere. There he is. From Parapost. He's right here too. From Parapost. If you guys haven't seen Parapost yet, go to parapost.net or go to Android or your iPhone store, download Parapost for free. All you got to do is sign up with your email and network with it. Great individuals. Like, I'm sure Charles will be on there. I know Brian Laverty's on there, Minnesota Spirit Hunters. Most of P3, if not all of P3, are on there. So go check them out and start networking today. And again, drama-free environment on Parapost. Absolutely love it. If you guys haven't already, also go to globalghosthunt.com, register your team. Spots are filling up fast, guys. I'm not even playing. So sign up, register, get set up because you will not want to miss the Global Ghost Hunt. It is going to be a one-of-a-kind event, and I'm personally excited. I am really, really excited. And then I'm also excited because of tomorrow. Tomorrow, we have none other than our boy Tanner from Ghost Hunter Advice. He is doing his very first live show. You heard me right. He's going live. He's doing one of these, whatever this is. He is going live, and he is going to be having his very own guest, starting his very own show. It's going to be a call-in show, just like he does, but it'll be live instead of recorded. So head over there, show him some love and support on the Ghost Hunter Advice on Facebook. You'll find him, and tell him the consultant sent you. And then after his show, stop on over because check this out. Because on the Petri dish tomorrow on Paralinks 2, that's where am I at? Hold on. See, I can't even get it every once in a while. It's this guy right there. This on Paralinks, right there. On Paralinks, don't mind me. I'm in a mood. But on Paralinks, I will be on the Petri Dish hosting with Howard, Ricky, and Squeakers. And we will be talking to the infamous Jesse Stewart from D's Ghost. Can't wait. It's such an honor and a privilege that we were asked to host tomorrow night's show. But anyway, that's going to do it for us for tonight, guys. Friday night will more than likely be an open mic night from what we're thinking. So join us Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time for the Paracrew podcast. What was that? But there's only one thing left for me to say, guys. Y'all have yourselves a great rest of your night. Have fun. Stay safe. And as always, happy hauntings.